Hey guys, Kev here, and I have a review to do for you. So this knife, I actually reviewed the prototype, so I've had experience with the model before. This is the Preytheon from Arcane Design. You guys know I'm a big fan of Arcane Design. Israel's a great guy, just unique and cool designs. I like a lot of them. I haven't kept many, or actually I haven't kept any. This is the only Arcane Design I have. And it's mostly because of size and carryability for me. The clip designs and stuff, it just hasn't, been something long-term I like to keep around. But nonetheless, the models are fantastic. And I think also they're just a little large 3.5-inch blade. I don't do a lot of 3.5-inch. This one is more my size, and I'm really enjoying this. You can see it has a reversible clip, which is awesome. I'm a big fan. So let me clean this blade up because it's bothering me, and I'm going to drop something as usual. I'm going to use some KPL Knife Shield. If you guys need any knife maintenance products or anything like that, definitely check out KPL, knifepivotlube.com. Use my code LeftyEDC. You'll save 10% off over there. This stuff is magical. So if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you have by now on the channel, but I just sprayed into a cloth. You can see there's tape, gunk, and shit. And you just kind of work it in like so. And then you kind of just wipe it off. And probably should have just sprayed it on. But I didn't. So now we're here. Anyway, it basically just removes tape gunk and shit so easily. It's insane. Usually you struggle with that shit if you try using alcohol or something like that. It makes it a lot harder to remove. I missed a spot. All right, let me just... So if you just spray it on like a normal person, and then what I do is I do this. I smear it in. It also has a little bit of a rust preventative nature to it. So I like to get it in all the bead blasted areas because those are going to be the ones that might have rust at some point. Okay, so now that I did it properly, we should just remove any and all tape gunk. So, sorry about the fiddle winks. Is that a term? Fiddle winks? I don't know why I just made that up. Now, sometimes I do go ahead and just add alcohol and clean the blade off after this because it does leave sort of a little bit of a residue on it, which, it kind of has to. In order to do its job, which is protect the blade, right? So it's up to you. If you're only using it for the cleaning purposes, then I would just clean the blade after with alcohol. If you're using it to also protect the blade, then I would just leave it. I'm just going to leave it. That's enough about that, but that's KPL Knife Shield. Stuff is fantastic. I use it all the time. I'm almost down to that. That bottle is almost empty. Jeez, can't talk. So this is the Preytheon. It was a pre-order. I got it in last week. And I actually did an unboxing. Well, I filmed an unboxing. And I quickly deleted it. So it was one of those videos where I devolved into just being very negative because I didn't... Something caught me off guard, and that's what tends to happen in those videos that I'll delete a video now and again because I don't want to, I don't edit my videos, so if I post a video, it is what it is, right? But there are times where I guess I censor myself by deleting the video because it's not my true feeling. I felt that way for 5 minutes, you know what I mean? But it's not ultimately how I truly feel about the knife. So I got the knife, just to explain. I got the knife, unboxed it, and the detent was just a little on the lighter side, right? It wasn't bad. It was acceptable. It was really good with the thumb flick and easy enough to reverse flick, but it wasn't satisfying, right? The reverse flick felt kind of like it leaked out a little bit. It just locked up. And you guys know me personally. I like a little bit of snap to my knives. So I, went on about that for however long. And then I took it apart. And I did actually tweak the lock bar. So I just bent it this way slightly. I don't recommend doing that unless you've done it before or, you are up for the risk, Test it on some budget knives first. But liner locks tend to be pretty easy to do that with. Now, obviously, you end up with more pressure on the lock bar, but I didn't go crazy. I just put a little bit on because it was close, right? Like, it was close to good, but wasn't quite there. So I just put a little pressure on it, put it back together. At the same time, I also swapped out the inlays. So when I bought this knife, I bought these zircuti inlays with it. Okay, this is driving me nuts. One downside to this amazing grind on this knife, finish on this knife, is it fingerprints. But this KPL knife shield is driving me bananas on it. I want you guys to see the beauty of this finish. Okay, hopefully that helps. I mean, take a look at that finish. Stunning. That is a stunning belt satin finish, right? Look at that. It's like a mirrored belt satin. Really cool because it's a flat grind. They can do that, right? The hollow grinds, it tends to be a little bit more dramatic, more like a Riot. You see, I'll show you what I'm talking about, like this. Right? That's what you'll see usually on a hollow. This is, it's up to you whether you think it's nicer or not, but I just think it's nice. Anyway, I took it apart and I put these inlays in. This knife came with carbon fiber inlays. They're glow carbon fiber. Now, I know that sounds bad because to me it did too. I saw it the first time I ever saw it on one of his posts. I was like, he has glow in the dark inlays. Like, that's corny, right? Like, I just thought, like, that's why. But it's actually a really nice looking carbon fiber. I might have the box right here. If I do, I'll grab it. Yes. Okay. So, because it would be good to show you guys, right? I obviously swapped the bearings as well, so skiffs are in here. Confirmed. But I'll try to show you how this actually looks really nice. Now, it comes stock with these. Mine did. I don't know if they all do or if there's different inlays for the budget versions, which I'll talk about. But you can see here, this is really nice looking, honestly. I thought it was just marbled carbon fiber until somebody told me it was glow material the other day. And essentially, you can blast it. You can blast it with a flashlight, and it will glow pretty nicely, right? Like, it glows pretty good. I'm not going to get all the lights out, but you can see enough here. It doesn't last forever or anything, but it's cool, right? It's the coolest glowy type material that I've seen, I probably don't have the right one, but you can see a little bit there what it would look like. Or maybe, I just have the wrong one, I think. But it looks really cool. So, get these on. So basically, it comes like this, and the screw goes from the outside. But you could get inlays to go with this knife. One of those options was this zircuti inlay. Now, I don't know what I paid for it. I think it was pretty pricey. It's probably like $100 and something by itself. Because this is manufactured by Best Tech, and they're pricey when it comes to zircuti. It just is what it is. That's just how much this stuff costs. So I swapped the inlays out, which those mount from the inside because they're metal, I guess. They have better traction, so they mount from the inside. There's two separate holes in there that you can screw through, one this way and one that way, which I thought was pretty cool. So I kind of wish I had recorded it. I did record it. I kind of wish I'd posted it, but I just didn't want to post the beginning part of the video where I was just like really kind of down on the knife. I even was a little upset with the ergonomics at first because I remembered it being more comfortable. And I had a G10 model that I had reviewed. Sorry, my OCD is going bananas. All right, I'm done. Sorry. So they have a G10 model, and that one is an S35VN. So you can get this in G10 or titanium. You can get it in S35VN, 20CV, which is what I have, or Damasteel. So there's a lot of versions of this knife. Then you can get like a gray stonewash or bead blast. I'm not sure which one. This black version. And then obviously you have the, I'm sure there's a stonewash blade version. And then there's a black PVD version, I'm sure. So you could get all these different configurations, which Israel always does, which is awesome. And the price point was lower for S35 and G10. That was kind of his idea with this knife, was to have an offering with two kind of price points. Now, I don't know how much exactly that other one was. I think it was maybe $199 on pre-order for G10 and S35. And then you could get this one, which was around $350. And then these inlays were like another $100 and whatever dollars. And then the Damasteel was like $640, I think. So lots of options on this guy. And I think there might be other inlay options. I'll have to check because I might look into it. But anyway, needless to say, I took it apart. The skip bearings are 5mm, 1/16 single row, pretty standard. The centering is close. It's not perfect. I'm hoping it just kind of comes back a little bit as time goes on, but it's slightly over to this side. It's better now than it was, so I think it's just slowly going to kind of work itself in as the bearings work in. Yeah, it's still tight. And, you know, it's not drop shut, but it was pretty drop shut when I got it. So I ended up putting more tension on it and tightening it down. But, I mean, you can see the action's really good. I'm enjoying the shit out of it. So that's kind of the basic information on the knife. There's different options. There's a drop for this on Friday, January 27th. This video will this video will post after that. But these may still be in stock because he usually orders a good amount and he usually has stock, which is one nice thing about Arcane Design. You can go over to his website and buy an Abyss right now. You could probably buy a Crawler. He keeps knives in stock, which is nice. He's not all about the sellout, you know. And he has, I don't know what I'm trying to say. He has a really good following and everything. But he has a very niche kind of design language and everything. So, you know, you're not going to have as many people going after these as like a Vero or something, you know. But he has diehard fans. And, you know, I would probably classify myself in that category just because I always tend to order the knives he has because they're just unique and cool looking and they're enticing, you know. And that's important. Plus, Israel's a great dude, and I want to support him. But my biggest, I guess, the most appealing knife he has made for me is this knife. And there's a lot of reasons for it. The reasons for me are, A, 3 1/4 inch blade. So if you guys know anything about me or the stuff that Colin and I design, a lot of it is in that exact size range. 3.25 to 3.3 inch blade, you know, 7.5 to 7.6, 7.7 overall. You know, it varies knife to knife, the tiny specifics. It could be 3.3 inch blade or a 3.2 inch blade, whatever, right? But you can see these are all very close in size. This is the Divo Mash down here. You can see there. About the same, almost identical in size. Yeah. And then we have the Stout right here. These are identical in size. I don't know what the camera's showing you, but... And then we have the Growler right there. Little less blade length on the Growler. Similar handle length. So you can see that's a size I really like. Another reason is this is a liner lock. This is his first time doing a liner lock. Everything he has done to date has been a frame lock. Some of them have been sort of reverse bolster locks because he has these pivot collars a lot of times. Clean my glasses real quick. But the liner lock is very nice for me because I'm left-handed. Then you have the reversible clip. So you can see here, it's mounted from the rear, sort of Leon Ma style. And then, I mean, same as this knife as well. Right? But what he did, different than these other brands, is he actually mounted the screw into the rear flush. Really nice to see that. And he still, look at that, he still kept the tip and the blade to handle ratio solid. That's tough to do, man. He did a great job with that. Then on top of that, you have a reverse flickable blade, right? That screams me as well. It has studs, which, you know, I can take or leave studs. I mean, I get why they're here. This is one of the only knives where I like the dual stud hole thing or slot thing. The Voodoo is another one. And then you add on top of that, you have a front flipper, which, you know, I'm not the biggest front flipper guy, but it's cool to have. I don't know if I could do this. No, I can't do that move. It's not my favorite front flipper, and we'll get into all that stuff, but there's a lot of things here that I like. You know, you also have a premium accent, or, premium materials to it, 20 CV, titanium, zircuti options, right? It matches my ring. I'm just kidding. But there's a lot of good here. There's a belt satin. You know, that screams me as well. And then the design. The design overall is more my style than anything he's done. This is basically a drop point. He's done clip point, Bowie style blades, Tantos. The Crawler has a fantastic blade. That one is one of my favorite designs as well. This design, though, has a sort of finger choil. It's not necessarily a full finger choil, but it works. And that is also something I love. So there's just a lot of aspects here that really point my direction. And out of all the knives he's done, this one just calls my name the most. So we can quickly kind of run down the review things that I usually do. But we've hit a lot of them. So aesthetics, we've pretty much hit. Absolutely love it. It's got a sort of spear drop point look. It's got that, like, Peter Carey, Les George, feeling to it, but then taken to outer space like Israel does, you know? And I love that. Another knife that I recently saw, I could not figure out what knife it was that it reminded me of, and now I know it was this one, is that new Griffin Tool Company or Combat Beads Scout F3, the pre-order that's up right now. This reminds me of that. Or that reminds me of this, whichever one, right? It's not like I'm saying they're copying. I'm just saying there was something about that F3 where I'm like, I've seen something like this, and I couldn't put my finger on it. But it was this. So yeah, I like the aesthetics a lot. On the ergos, like I said, in the unboxing that I didn't post, I did not love the ergonomics. And it's like I just didn't remember them properly. On the G10 prototype, I really liked it. But I do remember now, this is how it felt. Like it's almost a full finger choil. And I remember asking him to do a full finger choil, and he said he didn't want to sacrifice the blade length, the cutting edge. And that was, it was either one or the other. And he decided to stick with the cutting edge. And that's fair. It's his choice. And it does work. There's enough of a choil there. It kind of reminds me of the F5.5, where you don't get a huge finger choil. Right, let's see. Yeah, you get even less on the Preytheon, but not by much. Well, actually, you might get less on the F5, but you kind of use this flat as well, right? Where this, you don't have a flat behind it, so it does feel like less. I don't know how to explain that better, but both work. It's enough. But if you have big meaty paws, it might not. And then you have this groove right here. So some people, this knife just won't fit your hand right. And it almost does not fit my hand right. This finger wants to go lower, and it's kind of almost hitting that hump, but I can kind of squeeze it on, and you're good to go. You can choke back, but I just would never do that, and it's skinny. It gets really skinny down here. I don't love that. So this is where I go, and it is comfortable. Pinch grip works really well for me. I haven't tried any Friday night gas station grip. What up? So if somebody's trying to yank your Slurpee, you could do some work with this. So yeah, the ergos are good, not great, I would say. I think it's like, it's kind of like how I feel about Knoll knives sometimes. And I love Sean, I love Knoll knives. The Voodoo is one of my favorite knives. But sometimes ergos get sacrificed slightly for aesthetic appeal, right? They have a detail or something aesthetic that really they want in the knife, and they sacrifice ergos a little bit for that, whether it's a sharp corner or, this area, just whatever. And that's just kind of how it feels sometimes. But, the aesthetic win is the trade-off, so you just got to take that however you take it. I'm fine with it. I like the ergos on this knife. The cutting is, for me, fantastic. I haven't had any issues. I've used it actually quite a bit since I got it, which means I've opened boxes and cut tape and cut a minuscule amount of cardboard and shit like that. And it's been fine. I mean, I get a good grip. I can cut. I will say it's a little bit of a slippery handle for me because I got zircuti inlaid on the titanium. And I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's locked into my hand. Like it just feels a little slick a little bit. I don't know how to explain that better, but it's fine. It's just, I don't know if I would hard use it or anything, but I wouldn't do that anyway. You know what I mean? But yeah, the cutting's good. You got 20 CV. No idea what the HRC is, but it's best tech, so I'm guessing it's somewhere around 60 to 61. You have a flat grind. It's not the thinnest behind the edge. We can measure it. It's probably going to come in around 20 thousandths would be my guess. $19. That was not low enough. 17, 18. Up to the tip. 17. So, yeah, you're looking at 17 to 20 thousandths behind the edge. That's perfectly fine for me. Decently tall blade. Comes to a really nice point, but it's got some meat to it. It's not going to be like super dainty, but I mean, I wouldn't go ham on it either. But it's really sharp. Came really sharp. I mean, sticky sharp. So I think the cutting's really good. I wouldn't like hard use this knife, but carry has been really good, honestly. I'm a bit surprised because maybe I should have mentioned this in ergos, but one of the downsides to this knife is the thickness. I did not recall the prototype being this thick, but that could just be me. If you count these inlays, you're looking at 5.8. Oh, wait, now it got thinner. Hold on. Okay, 5.6. That's not bad. I had 5.8 before. Is there a spot that's 5.8? Why? Maybe my calipers are off when I measured it that one time. Okay, 5.6, which is still rather thick because, you know, if you take the stout, which I think is on the, you know, it's on the cusp of feeling thick at 5.1. And this is a bit thicker than that. And it's mostly because those inlays stick out, right? You know, the actual knife without the inlay is maybe about equal with the stout, maybe slightly thinner even. So I thought it would carry a little chunky, you know. But one nice thing is it has that reversible clip. So I got to carry this in my front left pocket. And honestly, it carries great. I don't have any issues with it. The angle's good. The clip is a little odd. Like the way it goes in and out. Let me just grab a cloth here. It has like a pinch point here. Right? You see that? Has that pinch point here. But it's a little bit elongated. So it feels like it has good retention. But once it's in further down, you can see it's really just pinching here. There's not much tension anywhere else. So it just is it's a little weird when you take it out of your pocket or put it in. It's like real loose and then all of a sudden it catches. You know what I mean? But it works great. I really don't have an issue with it. I just want to point that out. So the weight is, you know, I think it's pretty good, honestly. For being a titanium scaled knife with steel liner. So that is a steel liner in there. The liner is on both sides. So you have steel on both sides. Titanium. And it's pretty milled out, obviously. But for being, you know, steel, it's really not heavy. I would have expected it to be heavier with that construction, but it's not. It's probably around 4 1/4 ounces, something like that. I mean, that's an odd guess. 4 to 4.5 ounces would be my guess. Usually his knives are around 3.8, if I remember right. Maybe they're more like 4.8. I don't remember. But anyway, this is somewhere around there. Between, you know, 4 and 5 ounces, I would think. So, but it carries fine, and the weight doesn't bother me in any way. And you know what? The zircuti might be adding to that. So maybe with the CF, it's closer to 4. You know, I don't know. That's not something that really matters to me unless something's like really heavy, you know. Sounds. The sounds on this. The sounds on it are good. They're a lot better now that I slightly tuned that detent. Before it was just kind of like muted, like, you know, oops. It was just like, okay, we opened. But now you can hear it kind of, you know, that lockup slaps in a little bit. There's your lockup. It's probably a little later than it was because I added that pressure. So, you know, it might have been closer to 20%. Now it's at 30, something like that. Doesn't bother me at all. But the sounds are good. I don't love the closing sound. I go back and forth, but it has a little bit of a zing to it. You hear that? And it had that before, too. So, it's fine. It's just not my favorite sound. I like when a detent really sucks in a knife. I don't know if this will have it, but... No, terrible example. F5, maybe? Nope. I got nothing. I don't know. That's more of a thud. Maybe I'm just not getting the point across. But those are more like low sounds. This is a high sound. You know, I don't know. Action / fidget factor. This knife really shines with that. You know, you got the thumb flick. You got the reverse flick. And then you have the front flip. And, you know, they're all good. I would say the thumb flick is excellent. You know, you have the stud there, which is one of the reasons it has studs, is so you get that nice thumb deployment. It really fires out. And then you have this fuller right here that you can put your middle finger in and flick it out. It flicks really nicely off that fuller. You kind of have to get used to it at first. Your instinct is to kind of grab the stud and want to rip with the stud, which you can do. You can just go to the top of the fuller and the stud and flick it, right? You'll get more tension that way. It'll feel like a stronger detent if you go that way, because you're going to be going more vertical and you're closer to the pivot. Right? But I've learned to just take the fuller and flick out. Like, just treat it like it's by itself and flick out. And that's how I enjoy doing it, like that. And it has a good enough detent now that I can kind of gear up to it. If I just let it break, it'll still lock up. It still feels pretty good, right? And if I'm just being normal, pick it up, flick it, it feels really good. So that change really made a difference, the tuning of the detent. Now, one downside of it is the lock bar tension. There's a little more on it now, right? So I have to, it takes a little more force to push that lock bar out of the way. The lock bar access is not great. That's one aspect here I would love to see a little bit more cut back. Like if this chamfered area right here had just been cut in half or something and it was milled in so that I could get to that lock bar more or bring the lock bar out more. I don't know what you would do, but as of now, I have to go in kind of with the corner or the front of my thumb and kind of, it's just a little awkward. I have a little bit of, I don't know what it is, but it's hurting my thumb a little bit. Just repeatedly doing it does hurt, and it's slippery. The lock bar is slippery. There's no jimping. There's nothing on it, and you don't have the great access, so you have to kind of slide across, and sometimes I almost feel like I'm going to slip off. But it's not bad. It's fine. Left-handed, you can do the index finger trick. I love this knife, so it's not like bad. It's just something I want to note that if Israel does a second version or something like that, it would be nice to have a little more lock bar access, personally. I would love to have just slightly bigger choil and a little more lock bar access. And I'm pretty sure this is exactly what I said with the prototype. So that feedback has been taken already and either, applied or not. So it doesn't matter. The closing action is really good. Very smooth on the skiff bearings. It was fine on the stock bearings. And before I tuned the detent, when it came out of the box, it was basically like one little shake and it would drop. It's getting back there now. I mean, you can see it goes to my nail and then, not much work. The front flipper is not my favorite. And I remember it not being my favorite on the prototype either. And the main reason is it's far out from the handle, right? I like front flippers where the front flipper is like up here. You get more leverage when the front flipper is up near the pivot, and you kind of just get to pop it back like this. The Burger Urban, you can see the front flipper is within the scale, right? This line right here, where this is out in front. And with this, I can just push back and it just absolutely shotguns out. Now, it has a great detent, but even if it didn't, it would just shotgun out of there because of the way that leverage is set up, right? Another example would be like the GOM here, where it is out, but it's higher up. Where in this case, it's kind of out and lower, at least in my estimation. You get more tab. This is kind of like out here where this kind of goes up. I don't know how to explain it better. But because of that, I get a lot of clean leverage on that. And this just doesn't have as good of a leverage point. Like that almost hurt because it was I was about to slide off and I got hit by this corner right here. The jimping does not go up and around. That would be another thing I would love to see, is if that jimping had gone up and around. That way it would kind of carry you across. But as is, it works, right? It's not like bad. It's just not ideal for me. And you adjust to knives, right? So you get used to each knife and you learn how to use it, and that's fine. I'm guessing, you know, the way it was set up was a lot of it had to do with aesthetic, because it does look badass, you know, and then maybe, you know, how it locks up and everything. All of that plays a factor when you're messing around with the front flipper. And it does work. It's just, you can tell I don't get a lot of leverage on it. Like, it just doesn't, it doesn't shotgun open like the way the GOM just really fires. You know, I don't know if the sound comes across, but it's like, you know, really strong opening. And this just doesn't feel like that. But it's good. You know, it's fine. It's just not my favorite front flipper, that's all. But the other deployments are fantastic. That reverse flick, oh my God. I love that reverse flick. So, overall, this knife is absolutely fantastic. It really is. I know I had some critiques there, but I have critiques for everything. It's just, you know, the way I am. But the knife is wonderful. If you picked one up on pre-order, hopefully you're enjoying it as much as I am. If you're left-handed, you know, this is a great option to finally kind of get into Arcane Design, because it has the reversible clip and the liner lock, making it really lefty-friendly. The triple deployments, the blade shape, the ergos, all of it just, it's my favorite Arcane Design. And it's a wonderful knife. I'm literally tempted to get another one just to see if I got another one, if the, you know, if I got one, if the detent was like dialed a little more out of box, because that would be the preferred, because then I wouldn't have that extra lock bar tension, and maybe the action on the close would be, you know, a little better because I didn't put that tension on. But if I didn't get another one and I just stuck with this one, I'd be perfectly happy. I really do love it. So the fact that I'm thinking about another one should tell you a lot. The only reason I might not do it is because I don't think there's another version that really screams to me. This is the exact, like, dialed in version I would want. The zircuti with the black handle. So the tux look with zircuti and the belt satin, you know. So I'd probably just get the same one and then just see which one I liked better and sell the other one maybe. And I just don't know if that's worth it, because I do really like this one as is. So it just seems silly to do that. But yeah, I kind of used the corner of my thumb to disengage. Like, I used this. If that, I don't know if you can see that well, but that's how I do it. Like that. But yeah, wonderful knife. Highly recommend it. You know, the price point is what the price point always is with Arcane Design, around $350 for the premium. And again, there is a more affordable, I should budget earlier, I should have said more affordable, G10 and S35 version, which is probably fantastic as well. The prototype certainly was. But yeah, cool knife. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe. And if you have any questions, let me know down below. I'm always happy to answer those. If you made it to the basically 40-minute mark, I applaud you. Thank you for sticking with me. I guess I had a lot to say about the Preytheon. I really enjoy this knife, and I wanted to do it justice. Oh, one other thing I want to note, I guess I would put this on my gripe list, sorry, is the detent track comes out of the handle a bit. And I believe on the prototype, he told me that was going to change. But maybe it was the other way around. I don't remember. But I remember that was something I think was supposed to change. But maybe it just didn't in production or something. I don't know. There's the CPM 20CV marking right there. So, All right. I love you guys. Hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. And I will catch you later.